Hey everyone, just coming to you with this public service announcement. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. So let me explain. First and foremost, it's free to do so. You don't got to come out of your pocket. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and a whole bunch of others platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. That's why I got on it. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. All right, peace. Okay, it's preparing the live stream it. Peace. Peace, y'all.
Peace, what's good, everybody?
Yeah, this is Shem L. I'm got with me the brother, the Kappa child, Mike L. And we're going to do a conversation, just a casual conversation. We've been building on the phone and discussing about how we was going to talk on this subject pertaining to Dr. Strange and the Kabbalah. So I'm going to let the Kappa child, Mike L, take over. He's going to go ahead and ask the questions. I'll answer them. He'll be posting in the chat, putting up his information. Be sure to support him. I'll have it also in the description for you to contact him and to support him in what he's doing. And we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, I can't, for some reason, I'm not finding the chat. I'm on there. I don't see the video yet.
Okay. Okay, so.
I'm on your channel, though.
Okay, no doubt. So you definitely on there. So we got two watching right now. If you go, let me look at this.
Text it to me if you can.
So
if you text it to me, I'll press that link.
I'm gonna do that. One moment.
And peace, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. You know, I'm the Copper Child, Mike L, and I'm really into to these action figures. I'm into action figure photography. As you can see, I got all these action figures behind me. And you see we got these Dr. Strange action figures, and I just think they're cool. I'm fascinated with the little statues, you know. These little, statues are part of ancient African culture, as we all know. And I just tap into, I guess, the modern day version of it. Like here we have Brother Voodoo. And that's interesting. This is a Haitian superhero. You know what I mean? Isn't he from Haiti, Brother Voodoo?
Brother Voodoo? Yeah, I'm not familiar.
If I'm wrong. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm not familiar with that character.
That's Dr. Strange, Brother Voodoo.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you're gonna see a lot of him in the new films. You know, he's in the comic book. But yeah, so I'm just fascinated, man. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what connection does Dr. Strange have with the Kabbalah? Because that's pretty unique to me. So if you could break that down, I'd be fascinated.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So when you look at Dr. Strange, I'll give the short, condensed aspect of it, and then I'll go deep into it from the beginning. So Dr. Strange actually serves as the Adam archetype in the movie. When you deal with Kabbalah, just to give, for those who are not familiar with Kabbalah, the overview of it, Kabbalah deals with the esoteric and mystical meanings, the metaphysical interpretations of the Bible, particularly the Old Testament. So you get into your stories about Adam and Eve, the garden, the flood, Noah, Moses, and all of that. But it even goes further into the New Testament with the Christ. Certain Kabbalistic teachers speak on the latter day. But the Doctor Strange character is really the Adam character. And I'm going to show you why. So Doctor Strange, of course, was a doctor, right? He was a surgeon, a top surgeon. And he lost his ability to perform surgery in the accident, for those who saw the movie, right? So taking it from there, he goes and seeks a way to heal himself, but he has to go to the East, right? The Enlightenment is in the East. And that's kind of like what you see with Europeans today. They go to all these different exotic places, Tibet, parts in Africa, China, and some of them are looking for enlightenment, few of them, but most of them are looking for ways to advance themselves physically. And that's what you saw with Dr. Strange. He basically wanted to get back to the point where he could be a surgeon again. Like nowadays, these Europeans, they do the Qigong, the Tai Chi, and the yoga and all that stuff. And they don't do it for the enlightenment or the spiritual aspects of it. They do it for the long health, the vitality, to feel young again, greater sex drive or what have you. So when he had that conversation, remember, he had that conversation with that guy in the basketball court.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was telling him,
I took what I needed and I was good.
Yeah,
I just wanted to heal myself and I was good.
Exactly. That's the typical European mindset, European Western mindset. They just.
Well, he wasn't even a European though, huh? He was, wasn't he supposed to be like
he may have been Latino. He may have been, you know what I'm saying? But it still represented the Western mindset of that. You catch what I'm saying? And that's where Doctor Strange, that's how he first came in. So he comes to this place, Kamataj, which is a fictional place, but is out there in Nepal, right? In Indonesia, which is in Southeast Asia. And
so
he's going to this.
That's like the Wakanda of Nepal.
Exactly. That's the Wakanda of Nepal. Exactly. So he goes there, and first person he comes across is Mordo. Now, this is where you're going to start being able to detect the Kabbalistic breakdown. It's in the names. So Mordo, phonetically more, right? And you see it was a melanated brother in that particular movie, even though the character in the comic strip is from Transylvania. There you see it, right? Called Mordo, right? So call, actually interesting, the word call is German for free man. So his full name is Baron Karl Amadeus Mordo, and Baron is a title of nobility. So a title of nobility is a baron. He got a name Karl, which is free man, and Mordo, right? Being a Moor. But also Mordo is short. A lot of people use the term Mordo short for Mordecai. And Mordecai, which is in the Hebrew in the Bible, is really Marduk, which is an ancient Sumerian deity. You see what I'm saying? So you're really dealing with the Marduk of ancient Sumer with that character. And how you know is because later down the line, he has a gripe with humanity. He has a gripe with them. In the Numi Elish, in the ancient Sumerian text, Marduk was the one who set the new world order where the humans would be bearing the burdens for the gods, right? So again, so keep that in mind. Marduk, Mordecai, Marduk. So now you get to where he's introduced to the Ancient One, okay? And the lady, right? Who's a lady in the movie, but in the comic book, it's a elderly Chinese man, right? Or Tibetan man, mystic. So remember, there was that conversation before they walked in the door into that building for Kamataj. Mordo told him, Dr. Strange, I was once like you, and I too was disrespectful. Okay? So he's speaking to the human mind, the human state of humanity. He gets to see, he said, and he said, do yourself a favor, forget everything you think you know. So they go into the building. He's thinking, he goes to the first person who's a Chinese, elderly Chinese man. He thinks that's the Ancient One. And then he sees it's the European lady with the bald head. Now, Ancient One, again with Kabbalah. Ancient One, the term Ancient One, is the same as Ancient of Days in the Bible, in the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 9, when it speaks about the Ancient of Days. So the title is applied to a being that has no end of days, no beginning of time and no end of days. That title in Kabbalah is applied to the archangel Metatron.
Oh, Metatron.
Michael, right. It's Metatron, but it's also Michael, Archangel Michael.
So these are two different beings, or two same name, the same being? I mean, two names, same being.
In certain circles, they make them different. In other interpretations, they're the same. In the text, in a book called the Book of Zerubbabel, Michael is the Archangel Michael and Metatron are the same.
Now, is Metatron, is that name in the Bible?
It's not in the Bible. It's in the Zohar. It's in the Zohar, which is a Kabbalistic text, and it's in the book of Enoch.
Okay, that's Z-O-A-R?
Z-O-H-R. Z-O-H-A-R. I'm sorry, Z-O-H-A-R.
Okay.
Yeah. And just to let people know, I wrote a book called Who is Elohim, and I speak about it all in there, about that particular. Who is Elohim?
These beings?
Yeah, exactly.
These beings? As in plural, not singular?
As in plural, not singular. Exactly.
Okay.
So,
as in capital O, lowercase g, capital G, lowercase o, lowercase d?
Right. And in the Hebrew, there is no capital or lowercase. You follow what I'm saying? So the Elohim that's mentioned in the Bible, in the Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, where it says, Barashif Elohim, right? In the beginning, God, it's really talking about plural. That's why when it says, let us make man in our image and after our likeness, it was more than one person. And actually, Adam is more than one being, because in Genesis chapter 5, verse 2, it says, male and female created he them.
Yep.
And named them Adam. So
named them.
Yes,
Adam.
Named them Adam. So Adam or Adama, which means of the ground beings or the earth beings.
The red soil. The
red soil, exactly. That implies, and you know his cape is red.
Okay,
he has a red cape, and we're gonna get into
the
cape.
I'm saying that's Superman. Strange, yeah.
Yeah, strange.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's all synonymous. You know what I'm saying? They use the same color scheme. So moving forward, he meets the Ancient of Days. Right?
Yeah, I don't even know why. Yeah.
Ancient of Days, the Ancient One, which is Ancient of Days, which is Metatron, in the Zohar, the Kabbalistic text, right? So now, the Ancient One tells Dr. Strange the secret to the mystic sciences, and he doesn't believe it, right?
Yeah.
There's that time where he, the Ancient One, cast his astral body out from his physical body. Yeah, right? So keep this in, right. So keep this in mind. So this also ties into the aspect of Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, right? When it says, Lord God, or Yahweh Elohim, breathed into man the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So that would be the soul is the Ba.
The Ba.
The spirit is the Ka. So at this point, the soul, right, exactly. And you have in a type of Kabbalah that's called Merkabah. Merkabah.
Light body.
Light body, exactly, which is focused mainly on the book of Ezekiel, mainly Ezekiel chapter 1, that deals with the wheel inside of the wheel, because the word...
The pyramid inside a pyramid.
Exactly, exactly. Because you're dealing with it comes from a root word meaning to ride. So it's dealing with like a traveling aspect. It's also a term used by the South African sangomas, or the shamans, you know what I'm saying, or very spiritual beings. But so moving forward with that, so you have here where you have that context of the soul in the frame, in the, you know what I'm saying, because he's made of the dust of the ground. So moving along, he gets to learn this. Now, this is where you get into the aspect of being in the garden. So Kamataj symbolizes the garden. This is something we have to realize. In the book of Genesis, when it speaks about the creation, right? That's not the first time of the creation of what we call man, of the existence of beings on the planet. How do you know? Because it says when male and female were created, they said, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth.
How you gonna replenish something that was never replenished? Exactly,
exactly. So they're letting you know that there were people already here. Then they tell you that a man shall leave his wife, a man shall leave his family and cling to his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Now, how could that statement be made if there was just man and woman on the planet? There was no family unit.
No family.
Yeah. Exactly. So they're letting you know there was families in existence for them to say a man shall leave his family and cling to his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And that one flesh, you're going to see down the line what happens where we introduce about the serpent. So let's get into this. So Adam, and it is, I found it interesting. They use the term Shambhala for the Wi-Fi password, which denotes like the underworld, Shambhala. If you ever read those stories about that term, that was
that's like the cities with the earth.
Cities in the center of the earth, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Antarctica, how you pronounce it? Antarctica.
Yeah, Arctica and Antarctica. Right.
But Arctica, right?
Yeah.
Like Shambhala and Arctica.
Arctica, yeah, Arctica, yeah. Arctica, yeah. So yeah, those.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but yeah, I know.
Yeah, you got it, you on it. So Arctica, Shambhala, and Arctica. So that deals with that. So now we're moving forward where you have the situation where he's learning these arts. He's learning all this stuff, and he gets a chance to go to the library. Now, so in the library, which is key, because remember the first scene was in the library with Cassalius. Cassalius represents your Lucifer, the one who was the student, right, who fell from grace.
Yeah. He took the pages out the book.
He took the pages out the book, right? He was disgruntled, right? and he took with him.
Was it 2 pages?
What I saw was 2 pages.
All right,
It may have been more, but what I saw was 2.
Difference. Yeah,
Yeah.
Keep going.
So he took with him his followers. That would be equivalent to the story in the book of Revelations where it talked about the dragon and the third of the heaven fell with him. You see what I'm saying? So you have
Iblis in the story.
And Iblis, right, the rebellious one. So you have this motif going on here where you have this. So now, also, that time, I'm glad you mentioned Iblis, because anyone who read the Quran know that there's a part in the Quran where the angels are asking Allah, are you going to make a successor in the earth, Khalifa? He was supposed to succeed. Adam was a Khalifa in the earth who's going to shed blood and cause mischief. And Allah said, I know what you know not. And they prostrated. And the reason why is because Iblis had already, everyone bowed down except Iblis, right? Because the concept was that this is a man, this is a mere mortal, right? And we're made of light. So you see how this plays out. Now, what happens is in the library, when he's in there, he speaks to the librarian Wong. And Wong is basically telling him, he's telling him what he can read and what he can't read. You see what I'm saying? That's equivalent to the statement where the Elohim is telling Adam, of all these fruits you can eat,
which is the knowledge,
but of the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, you can't partake. You see what I'm saying?
That was the first thing he grabbed.
And that was the first thing he grabbed. You see what I'm saying? So
and he let him grab it though. That was kind of, he let him grab it. That was kind of interesting. That was interesting to me.
Yeah, because it had to play out of him having his eye open, right? Right. Remember, ancient days said, "Open up your eye." The eating of the fruit in the Bible denotes the mystical knowledge that opens up the third eye, because that's why they said their eyes were open and they saw that they were naked. At that point in time, once they ate of the fruit. You know what I'm saying? But they already were walking around, so they had to have their physical eyes open. So it wasn't a physical eye, it was the inner eye. You know what I'm saying? That pineal gland that was opening up. So again, so he goes and takes that. He finds out about Caecilius, right? He learns about what happened. And then eventually he has a conversation with Caecilius. Now this is where
sounds like Iblis a little.
No, go ahead.
It sounds like Iblis a little bit, Caecilius.
Yeah, it is. That's the whole archetype. Because remember when they had that conversation when they was in the Sanctum Sanctorium, and I'm going to get into that name. That one is a deep one, but they have the conversation. He's like, the ancient one, Dr. Strange is basically saying like the ancient one, you're messing with the dark forces, and you're doing a bad thing. He's like, he's lying to you. You know what I'm saying? What?
Oh, so yeah.
What?
So hold up.
Yeah.
So wait, you're saying who was saying it?
Caecilius was telling Dr. Strange that the ancient one was lying to him.
Yeah. Is he telling the truth? I think he's telling the truth.
And he was telling the truth in part because the ancient one was tapping into the dark dimension.
The dark magic, and she wasn't telling nobody. Now let's go back to that's why he said hypocrite in the beginning.
Hypocrites, exactly.
That was the whole thing. That's why he.
Yep.
So he's like, if it's good for you, then it's good for me.
Good for me, right? See what I'm saying? So now go back to the Bible where the serpent, which is Nakash, the Hebrew word Nakash, which means whisperer, is having a conversation with Eve or Hawa, which means living. And the serpent says to Eve that Eve is telling them, of all the fruits, we can't eat of that because in that day we shall surely die. Because that's what Elohim told them. Elohim told them, if you touch that fruit in the day you eat of the tree of good and evil, you shall surely die. He said, you shall not surely die. You shall open your eyes and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So, question, did they die when they when they ate the fruit? They didn't.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna answer the question.
Oh, no, go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
No.
No, they didn't.
It shouldn't take it so long for me to answer.
No, they didn't. So Nakash, the serpent, actually told that truth. They didn't. And their eyes were open. Their eyes were open. So that's the same aspect of what you have here with the conversation with Caecilius and Dr. Strange. He's appealing, and he actually said this. He said, Dr. Strange, he said, Doctor, did you come here for enlightenment? No, you came to be healed. You came where we all came is broken, right? And the Ancient One promised us to be healed and then fed us parlor tricks. See what I'm saying? And so he's basically appealing to the Eve part of him, or the feminine side of him.
And this is Caecilius talking to Strange? Who's talking to Strange right now?
He's talking to Strange.
Okay, and that's the conversation. Okay.
That's the conversation. He said,
yep.
You came, you came here for enlightenment? No, you came to be healed. So if you came to be healed, right? What did he promise you? It's like a dude coming up to a woman who is in a bad relationship and say, yo, he said he was gonna buy you things, he's gonna treat you, and look what he's doing to you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So he's appealing to the feminine side, at the Eve side of him in that sense. Because remember, a man shall leave his family, cleave unto his wife, and become one flesh. So Dr. Strange now embodies the man and woman, Adam and Eve, at that point in the garden, having the conversation. And they're in the Sanctum Sanctorium. Now, Sanctum Sanctorium, you hear it sounds fancy, sounds cool. But when you research it, Sanctum Sanctorium is Latin. In fact, it's Moorish Latin. And it's Moorish Latin that comes back to a Hebrew word, Kadesh ha-Kadeshim, which simply means Holy of Holies. And Holy of Holies is a term that's used in the Bible, particularly in the Torah. And that's your tabernacle that acts as the doorway, the pathway between the spiritual world and the physical world. And who regulates that? Who manages that? The Levitical priest. The Sanctum Sanctorium. What is it? It connects this universe. It's a doorway between this universe to protect from the multiverses and all the mystical forces out there. Who's responsible for that? The order. That's what it was. It was an order of mystics that were trained under the Ancient One. Now, let's go back. There are those who will say that Michael, the Archangel Michael, is Melchizedek as well. Melchizedek, which means
who is like God.
Well, Michael means who is like God, who is like El. Melchizedek means angel or king, depending on how you want to interpret it, but let's say king of righteousness, king of justice, Melchizedek, right? So in the book of Genesis, chapter 14, if I'm not mistaken, you have Melchizedek, king of Salem, who is a high priest after the order of El Elyon. El meaning God, or mighty, and Elyon meaning highest. So it's God the Most High, or the Most High God. So, and you have an order of Melchizedek that you find later in the New Testament. So you have basically this order of they play the role of the priesthood, the mystics, and their job is to protect the earth from these adverse mystic forces, and they guard these holy of holies, which is the sanctum sanctorium, which is in 3 places. Now you find there's a common theme of 3, or the law of 3. Sanctum sanctorium in New York, which is in 177A Bleecker Street, which is in Greenwich Village. Greenwich Village is a known place for the occult. So you got New York City.
Exactly where that's at, yeah.
New York City, you have London, and you have Hong Kong. Those are 3 important places because those where you have your world clocks. And a lot of the old world clocks, you'll have a New York clock, London clock, and a Hong Kong clock, right?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And some other ones, they'll add a 4th one, which may be Japan, Tokyo.
It sounds like you're about to talk about the Agamotto.
Well, we're gonna get into that. Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting into the time.
When you say clock, I'm like, wow, yeah.
Right. So when he got to the part where he came across the eye of Agamotto, and Agamotto was the name of was named after one of the older mystics, sorcerers there, to control time, right? Remember, this whole theme in Doctor Strange is a theme about time, because from the very beginning of Doctor Strange's career.
Listen, I used to hang around that clock on Bleecker Street every day.
Okay. Yeah, so you already know.
Out in that area, because that's where the skate shop is at.
Oh, okay. That's what's up.
I used to get off the train on Bleecker Street to go to work.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time in that area. You know what I'm saying? So I never knew what you said about, it's kind of like, sounds like a ley line type of spot where you mention it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. That whole area, Greenwich Village, that actually, if you look up the history of Greenwich Village was actually one of the first townships for us as melanated people. Because it was the first township. It was one of the first townships in New York by the emancipated slaves, meaning towns, like it was a section.
Oh, township, town.
Township, yeah. You know what I'm saying? If you look up the history of Greenwich Village, you'll find that. And so
Supreme is right there. That's why I was there. There's a skate shop. I don't know, it's a popular skateboard shop called Supreme.
Okay.
And it's right there on Bleecker Street. So I used to skate there, hang out there every day. Right there. Right. And I used to work right next to it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a lot of history out there in Greenwich.
Supreme. People, I don't know, you ever heard of Supreme skate shop?
I never heard of it. I ain't gonna lie.
It's a popular clothing brand. It's called Supreme.
Okay.
Like a lot of celebrities where they got stores in LA, stores out here, but that's when you get off the train to go there, Bleecker Street, that's where you get off the train at, right there, Bleecker Street.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm listening. You just bring back memories.
No doubt. You just connected it all up. Yeah, no doubt. So that was that's a very important place. So there, like I said, New York, London, and Hong Kong. So that's 3. There's a constant theme of 3, or reoccurring theme of 3 in the movie. Also, you have the 3 main mystics or sorcerers under the ancient one, which would be Mordo, Doctor Strange, and Wong. And you see them all together in the end when they're fighting against what's his name? Casselius. Casselius and his mystics. So that kind of becomes like the story of in the book of Revelations, where it talks about the Archangel Michael and his angels fighting against the dragon and his angels, right? And there was a war in heaven. You catch what I'm saying? So that kind of goes with that theme. But those 3 men, if you notice, One is of European descent, Caucasian. One is a Chinese man. Another one, Mordo, the Moor, right? Melanated. So that comes back in your mind. You know, I can go back in my childhood. We used to always have those jokes. It was a black man, white man, Chinese man, right? That goes back to the concept of the three racial classifications of Negroid, Caucasoid, and Mongoloid. So they putting that theme in your head again, going back into,
that's kind of funny.
time.
That's
I'm
funny.
saying, like, yeah, it's not by accident. It's not by accident at all.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
So, but look, so I want to ask about the mirror dimension. I don't want to forget that.
Yeah.
How that ties in.
Okay.
And also, where is Murdo from in the movie? I didn't pick that up.
So you really don't get it in the movie. You'd have to read the comic book. So, and again, the comic book, the character in Mordo in the comic book is not a brown-skinned melanated brother. He's a Transylvanian. He's from Transylvania.
Where's
is
that Australia? Where's
Transylvania is in in Western Europe. You're talking about like Romania and all that area. Czechoslovakia, all that parts. So it's like in the aspect of where Asia and Europe meet. In that part. So and you know the story about Transylvania, that's where you get Dracula from. The story of Dracula from Transylvania.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. When you see the old cartoon pictures or comic picture drawings of him, he has dark hair. It looks like he got a receding hairline on real thick black mustache and beard. You know what I'm saying? Real thick eyebrows. That's Mortal in the comics.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So they never really talk about where Mortal come from in the movie. You don't really hear that. All you hear about Mordo is that, he came, they say he was very strict, he had a rough upbringing. He came to, out of his mouth, he said, I came to you to destroy my enemies, and you helped me destroy my demons.
And so you didn't destroy them, you just put them to the side or something like that, right?
Yeah, and Ancient One said you never really destroy your demons, you just learn to live above them.
Yeah, exactly what you said.
Live above them, which is again dealing with higher self, lower self. Because in more science, it says in the Circle 7 that if you were to look for the devil, you must look within. It is the self, the lower self. And if you were to look for your savior, you must look within. It is yourself. So it's really speaking about raising on a higher frequency, a higher vibration. You know what I'm saying? Me and you had that conversation about people being in low vibration, low vibratory frequency people. You know what I'm saying? They're not living above their demons. You know what I'm saying? They're not rising up above their demons. So that's what Ancient One was trying to tell Mortal, that, all you're doing is you're not destroying, you can't destroy the devil or your lower self, particularly while you're in this physical frame, because it's the humanity is the fall. Humanity is the fall of man, being in this carnal flesh, because we're actually spirit beings having a physical experience. So you don't really destroy it. What you do is learn to rise above it and be in control, being in your higher self, as they would say.
That's exactly what she said. And he made it sound like he was talking about physical demons, right?
Right, but it wasn't. It's inner demons. Yeah, all the negative frequencies and thoughts that you got within that make you do all type of crazy stuff. So, and you see what happens later on in the end, because he becomes disgruntled and upset because he feels he was his illusion was destroyed. Like he fed into the illusion about Ancient One. that the ancient one was all good. She was all about the natural law. She would never touch the dark dimension. You see what I'm saying? Once he realized that, and Dr. Strange told him, like, she's not who you think she is, right? Because of his, you know, his sense of morality or his self-righteousness, if you will. He went on a mission to go against that and destroy people who he felt was misusing that power.
Did they explain? Maybe I missed it, but did they explain why she tried to tap into that dimension?
You know what? The best that they did was say that she was trying. She didn't really elaborate on it, other than to say that she was doing it to protect others from it. In other words, she felt that if she was around long enough, that she would be able to keep things in control by, you know, tapping into that energy, keeping her life long, but still doing the good mission of raising up these mystics or sorcerers to fight against Dormammu. You know what I'm saying? But
so she was trying to prolong her life.
Yeah, she was trying to prolong her life because she felt she was.
Real. Yeah.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's like, you know, that's like, who wouldn't do that? Like, oh yeah.
Right.
Who would, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's, you know, everybody wants to live longer, so that's like the perfect excuse. Like,
the perfect.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
You know, I just want to, instead of, you know, letting life take its natural course. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And that was her flaw. That was her flaw. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, and that was what it exposed. Everybody had flaws. Everybody has a flaw, no matter how spiritual you may think you are. Everyone had a flaw.
Like, she just want to live longer, but she's using, I want to help the world as an excuse.
Right.
But really, she just want to live longer.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it boils down to, because if she really believed that she would just let herself go and trust in and the time continuum.
Exactly.
Right or wrong.
That's true. And keep in mind, the main thing that she told Dr. Strange was that he was egotistical. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, the desire to live longer physically is egotistical.
That's the ego.
Exactly.
Trying to hold on to the physical.
That's right. Because that's the only thing that wants to hold on
to the physical.
Yeah. So it was interesting how that played out. So again, you got that aspect with the Ancient of Days, you know, trying to live longer. You got Dr. Strange being the person, because again, he became the successor, right? As mentioned in the Quran. He became the successor of, he inherited this thing to control
he became the Sorcerer Supreme, right?
Right, the Sorcerer Supreme. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So he became the Khalifa, as mentioned in the Quran. So he was the Adam. He was the Adam. He was the Adam prototype, or the Adam archetype that's mentioned in there. So when you really break that down, and if you really look at it, you know, I'm just throwing this in, even though it's not really it. Whenever people talk about the Jesus or the Christ is also a type of Adam, in the sense, in twofold. One, if you look at they always say that Jesus is the Son of God, Son of Man, right? Well, that would also be true of Adam, in the sense that Adam is also looked at in the Bible as a son of God, right? And a son of man, because he is the first of the physical, or what they say, the human race. You know what I'm saying? Even though we know that there were beings before Adam, right? And just a quick flash for people who want to be interested in this, I'm also going to get into P.B. Randolph, but this is a book by P.B. Randolph called Pre-Adamite Man. that talks about demonstrating the existence of the human race upon this earth 100,000 years ago. So it gets into that whole about the cycles of time. So Jesus would represent the spiritual Adam, so to speak. In other words, the first of his time to transform from human flesh to flesh divine, because the whole concept or the story that they use about Jesus is that he conquered death, is that he was able to be the first one to be able to be put to death or conquer death. You know what I'm saying? So death is not an end of anything. All people who deal with metaphysics and esoteric knowledge knows that death is really a doorway, a transition into another stage in life. So that's where the Adam, Jesus Adam comparison comes into. But again, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let you ask some more questions. You know what I'm saying? I know I don't want to ramble on too much. So
man, I'm having fun listening, man. I'm learning.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Very informative.
No doubt.
Very informative, man. You know, I'm just, you know, my imagination is running wild. I'm just listening to what you're saying and just thinking about, you know, everything all together, man. And it's like, so what they call it, the mirror dimension.
Yes.
How does that tie into maybe everyday reality, everyday life, or how does that tie into the Kabbalah? Or you know.
Got you. Absolutely. So, all right. So there's a couple of things we should talk about with the mirror dimension. With the mirror dimension, you also have the dark dimension, right? Now, this all ties into the Kabbalistic tree of life, and also the counterpart of the Kabbalistic tree of life, the clip-off. The clip-off is considered the inverse or the reverse of the Sephiroth, which is the Kabbalistic tree of life, and you have 10 Sephiroth in that Kabbalistic tree of life. On the reverse side, you would have 10 on the clip-off side. So a lot of people say that the clip-off is the dark side, the chaos side. That would be your dark.
You're talking about on the tree of the Sephiroth.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, it would be.
So is that also like an as above, so below depiction?
In a sense, as above, so below. In a sense, yes. So it would be dealing with polarity, dealing with the law of polarity, like in the Kabbalah. So in other words, all right, how can I put it? If you may have a person that, or two brothers, because this is the Cain and Abel concept. That's a theme that uses this. You may have one particular brother or person who likes to do things, and his whole thing is about helping people. It's all about trying to be looked at as good.
The other side, that's a different point.
Okay, go ahead.
You're saying to be looked at as to be good.
To be viewed as good.
But that's not genuine as just to do it. So I'm listening to what you're saying.
Yep. So
okay.
Looked at as good, and may even have some real genuine intentions. But
okay. Right.
But in the sense, the ultimate aspect of it is that it is perceived as good. The perception of it is good by the masses. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So he's doing good works to be counted.
To be counted, yes. Correct.
All right. So I'm trying to make, because there's a difference to do good, or to do good because you want credit for it.
True. That's true. Absolutely. Yeah. And the clip-off side would be representing that one that doesn't care about what people think. It just does the job that it wants to do when it does it. You know what I'm saying? By any means necessary. You catch what I'm saying?
That's pretty cool. I like, if you're doing the right thing, that's a good attitude, I think.
Right. So you got those people, you got somebody, I'll use this example because I've heard a lot of people saying, I don't know the brother personally, but a Dame Dash might be a clip-off type dude because he gets the job done, but he seems to rub people the wrong way, or he has in the past rubbed people the wrong way, but he don't care about whether you are in your emotions about how you feel about him. He's about let's get it done. You see what I'm saying?
You know what character I noticed that in the movie? I wish I could relate it to the Doctor Strange movie. But from Pirates of the Caribbean, the main character in that movie, he had that about him.
Johnny Depp?
Yeah, Johnny Depp his character in that movie was like that. Think about it.
Yeah.
Like if I'm relate to what you're talking about, his character, he didn't care. He did the weirdest things, but he was effective.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, in that movie, you know what I mean?
Right.
If you notice, in that movie, he was just like all over the place, but he was focused.
Exactly. So on one side, so on one side, you got the mirror dimension. The mirror dimension is the reflection. What you see or what you want to see. Right?
What you want to see?
What you want to see.
Why don't you see what's there? How come you don't just see what's there?
Okay, because when you're looking at a mirror, the mirror is not really the true you. It just reflects. It's only reflection. You don't really see.
It can only reflect what's there.
It can only reflect what's there and how you process in your mind of what's there. Okay, because you and I can be looking at the same mirror. You and I can look at the same mirror and see things differently. From your angle to your angle. Oh, this is my good side, this is my bad side. You catch what I'm saying?
On the focus.
You can on the focus. So it deals with reflection.
Mm-hmm.
The dark side is void of that. The dark side is the chaos. Is no reflection, and it's also, they make it synonymous with chaos. But chaos is not always necessarily bad. Chaos is just that which is. It is not yet formed. You have what's called, and that's what's called in Kabbalah, tohu and tikkun, which is chaos and order, right? So, and matter of fact, Domanu, one of the titles for Domamu, who's in the Doctor Strange in the comics, is the Lord of Chaos. So, if Domamu is from the dark dimension, and he's within the dark dimension, the Lord of Chaos. So the dark dimension is the chaos side. That is the tohu. In the Bible, it says, the translation in the King James is that the earth was without form and void. It actually is tohu and bohu, which is chaos and void. It doesn't say formless. It wasn't formless. It was chaos. The earth was chaos and void.
Oh, you're saying in the original text?
In the original Hebrew, right.
Wow.
Tohu means chaos.
What, that's Aramaic Hebrew?
Yeah, Aramaic Hebrew. Tohu wa bohu. Okay. So tohu is chaos, wa bohu and bohu, which is void. And then tohu wa tikkun, which is chaos and order. Tikkun would be order. And
so let me say what tikkun is order and
order. Yep. And the tohu is chaos.
And tohu. Okay.
Right. So that's your mirror dimension. The mirror dimension is more orderly, right?
Tikkun and tohu.
And the dark dimension is chaos.
Let's say it again just so I can practice. I want to give you.
Okay. Got you.
Say
tohu means chaos in Hebrew.
Okay.
Right? So tikkun means order in Hebrew. So the mirror dimension would be likened to the order, right? The dark dimension is synonymous with the chaos. Remember, when they say the dark dimension is beyond death and beyond time. That means there's no beginning for the dark dimension. Remember, we always talk about people will talk about, you hear everything came from triple stage darkness or the cosmos, the black hole, the Big Bang, everything comes from darkness, right? So the chaos, there's a term, out of chaos comes order. The
Order out
chaos
of
has
chaos.
to, right. It comes out of chaos.
So out of chaos comes order. Same thing, order out of chaos.
Order out of chaos comes order. So that's telling you that chaos has to exist first for the order to begin. You have to put things in order.
Is the dark, you're saying the dark realm.
Right.
That's the chaos.
That's the chaos. Chaos is just everything that's just out, but it's formulated in order. But then later on it's formulated.
In the beginning was the darkness, then came the light.
And then came the light, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. When you open up a box and it has a bunch of things you poured out on the floor, it's all spread out. There's no order, but then you got to put it together. Order out of chaos. You know what I'm saying? That's how the mind works.
That's how the universe works.
Exactly.
And I'll show you randomly one day, with numbers. You can tell with random games dealing with numbers, there's always order out of the chaos automatically.
Yep. Absolutely.
Automatically.
Yep.
You probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. That's
and
always.
There's no way around it. It's you know what I mean? It's just like if you pour, it's just like gravity.
Right.
It's a law just like gravity.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It has to exist in that way for things to come into creation. You know what I'm saying? Creation, when you and I spoke about that in my book, creation is the process by which, first off, the word create comes from the Latin word creatus, meaning to grow. So it's a process. So the process of creation comes from the thought. The thought is synonymous with a seed that you plant. When you plant seeds, all right, let's put it like this. Anyone who's ever did gardening, and I do gardening, I got a garden in the backyard. Even if you try to put things in a row, right? Everything ain't perfect. The dirt ain't perfect. The seeds ain't aligned exactly. You know what I'm saying? You may have to sprinkle some stuff, but somehow within that chaos, you're going to see everything will eventually find its place.
Order. Yeah.
It will find order, because that's just how nature is. So like
a centrifuge,
Yes.
It's like, the elements are going to fall in place according to what they are.
Absolutely. They have to. They have to.
Yeah.
They have to obey.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the cycle. The centrifuge is it, like, because that's the frequency, right?
That is the frequency.
Frequency of the universe, right?
Of the universe.
Pattern, yeah.
Universal pattern, right?
Yeah.
Right. And we just have to acknowledge it and tap into it. You know what I'm saying? What they're talking about in Doctor Strange in reference to the magic is really just dealing with higher energies that exist in the world. Remember, Pangborn.
She said it's
No, go ahead. What she said?
She said you might call it what she said, you
spells.
might call it spells, but
I
call it what she said she called it?
She put it like this. She said, if you don't like the word spells, you can use program.
Yeah, program. Yeah, so she made it sound like something. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was basically saying, spell, call it a program.
Yeah.
She's relating it to a computer program.
A computer program, and also psychological program. So programming the subconscious. Because when you study the occult, you realize that magic is really just programming your subconscious.
Because I think okay, all right. Because
Think about it like this. Watch this. All right. Remember, they had the conversation when he first talked to her. He said, how he asked her, no, she asked him, did you, when you do surgery on someone, I'm paraphrasing, do they heal themselves or does the body heal themselves? He said, well, the cells do. He said, okay, what if I were to tell you that you're able to convince your cells to go and heal itself? I'm paraphrasing, to work, to reconstruct.
Yeah, I remember. No, I remember what you're talking about exactly.
Yeah, and he was like, "Oh, this would be new technology or something to that effect, right? Revolutionary, whatever."
And
but
she said, "Well, I such and such and such and such."
Yeah, and she said so. But the point of all of that is, he was saying basically, like she was saying, that your mind is controlling everything. In your mind, like in the Kabbalah, the universe is mental. All is mind in the universe is mental, right? So when you realize that you have the ability to tap into these energies through the and convince your subconscious, because your subconscious doesn't operate in order. Your conscious mind does. That's also with the aspect of the mirror dimension and the dark dimension. So your dark dimension would be your subconscious, and your mirror dimension would be your conscious, insofar that you have to put things in order in the conscious, but your subconscious don't operate that way. It just is chaotic.
It's a clean slate.
It's a clean
no
slate.
Judgment.
And whatever you plant in it, whatever you put into it, is going to, it accepts as reality. Whatever you put into your subconscious, subconsciously, it puts into reality. It doesn't operate off of the filters until you get to a process.
Saying if you program that side of yourself a certain way, then you will get these results.
You will get these results.
And that's the program.
Absolutely. That's the program. That's the spell. The spell is the program, the programming of the subconscious mind to make certain things. That's why you hear certain people like Joseph Murray, Neville Goddard, the Master Key writings by I think Charles Hannell. They all say the same thing. It's about being convinced. The law of attraction, that whole law of attraction thing, deals with the programming of the subconscious mind, being to program the subconscious mind to manifest your reality.
Yeah. And then let's get into I don't know how much longer you want to go for, because I don't know how much longer. You want to go for a lot longer, or you tell me?
We can do a little bit more. I ain't gonna be on too long, but we can do it. We can do a little.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because this is good. I mean, people really don't have an attention span anyway, so we don't got to make it too long.
Yeah, no doubt.
Should I not have said that? Everybody, work on your attention span. Try to make it to that.
No doubt.
But so yeah, what about the sling ring, man? That, like, how does that's pretty cool, man. Like what that's like that's how they tap into, that's like
the sling
ring things. Yeah.
So the sling ring.
About?
Yeah, the sling ring, based on my study, what you're dealing with, first off, in mysticism, there's always been amulets, there's always been signets, which are your rings, and all of these things have symbolic meaning and also deal with tapping in. It helps you tap into those subtle energies.
A portal, right? Wasn't that a portal?
Right. So the sling ring, you had to go and open up a portal. But remember, the sling ring wasn't as important. It wasn't as important as the mind of the person. Because remember the Ancient One brought out. Remember, he was having trouble. Dr. Strange was having trouble opening it up.
At first, he couldn't do it.
Yeah,
Everybody was doing it.
He's like, my hands. It's my hands. She brought
out
the dude
with no hands.
With a nub. He was like,
and he did it. Yeah.
The nub. It's like, open it up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
no problem.
Yeah.
So it was really, oh man. Peace, y'all. It looks like we got cut off. The Copper Child, Mike L, got disconnected. But look, we're gonna do it again. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. Definitely support the brother. Check him out on his YouTube channel. Check him out on Instagram. And we'll have that link in it below, and continue to check us out. All right, peace.